I've searched the world it couldn't fill me. And man's empty praise and treasures that fade are never enough. You came along and put me back together, and every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you. Oh, I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. Lord, you've seen them all, but you still call me friend. The God of the mountain is the God of the valley, and there's no place your mercy and grace won't find me again. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you. Turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty from ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways, 'cause you're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you. 'Cause you turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. Turn seas into highways. Oh, you're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. 'Cause you're the only one who can. 'Cause there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you.
Hey, good morning, Gold Creek. I'm coming at you live in our building, and the reason why I'm doing that is I'm going to use it kind of as an illustration for our devotions. So what we've been doing all week, you can see behind us, here I'll move it, it's full of garbage and everything is being set up because we're getting ready to actually do church. And this is like a home. It reminds me of moving. We keep moving things in, throwing stuff away, organizing things so that when people come, they will feel comfortable. They'll be impressed hopefully, right? I mean, it's God's house, so that's what we're thinking about. And so it kind of goes along with where we're going to be at today. We're going to be in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, and we're going to be verses 20 through 21. And I'll set the scene of saying, I want to make sure and clarify first the difference between conviction and guilt, because how we read the Bible is important based on our understanding of those two words. So the first one, guilt. Guilt is not from God. And what guilt does is it moves us away from God. It makes us feel shame. It makes us feel bad about ourselves. I think it's rooted in evil. And when you feel guilty, you run from God. And then there's conviction. What conviction is when you get convicted or feel moved by God because of something you might have done wrong. And what conviction does is it makes you turn to God. It makes you run to God, and God begins to help you overcome the thing that you did, or overcome the thing that's breaking you down. And those are important. Those two words to understand are important in understanding why I'm here and understanding where we're going. So now we're in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 20. It says this, "For I'm afraid that when I come, I may not find you as you want to be, and you may not be able to find me as you want to be. I fear that when I show up, there's going to be quarreling and jealousy and outbursts of anger and factions and slander and gossip and arrogance and disorder. I'm afraid that when I come, my God will humiliate me before you, and I will be grieved over the many of the earlier sins, and that maybe even the sins that you haven't repented of impurity, sexual sin, and debauchery in which you've indulged. Drunkenness essentially is debauchery." So breaking this down, what this means is he's afraid that when he comes in to this church, in the Corinthian church, and he sees the people that he left, he's going to be ashamed of the look of the house, how they were living, the type of church that they were trying to do. Essentially, they were not living God's way. And he says, man, I'm afraid of the things I'm going to see. In the same way, we hope that when we do church in our building, it's going to be clean. We're going to be ready for our guests. We don't want to have, garbage sitting around, right? It's a bad look. And in the same way, spiritually, that stuff can happen to us. We can get a lot of spiritual, sinful trash that gets left around. And think of it like you're in a new building, in a new house. When God shows up, you want to have things ready. You want to be prepared for him. When people show up, you want to have your house ready for them. And what he's saying is, I'm afraid that when I show up, there's going to be quarreling and jealousy and outbursts and anger and factions and slander and gossip and arrogance and disorder. He said, I'm afraid there's going to be sexual immorality, people sleeping around. I'm afraid there's going to be unrepentant people. I'm afraid there's going to be debauchery, drunkenness. He's afraid that when he walks in the church, he's going to see people living like they lived before they knew God, and yet they know God and nothing has changed. So then going back to my very first definitions of those two questions of conviction versus guilt. The way we read this is not to feel guilty. And this is a daily inspiration, right? These are daily encouragements. So when I ask you the question this, does your life look anything like that? Is there jealousy and outbursts and quarreling, anger, faction, slander, drunkenness, just sexual immorality? Is there any of that in your life right now? And when I read this, how I should read it is not as guilt. Because more than likely, if you're human, like I'm human, we will struggle with our flesh. We will struggle with this human body that drags us down instead of dragging us up. And if you struggle with these things, what you shouldn't feel is guilt. What you should feel is conviction. Guilt makes you read this, you're like, man, I'm never going to go to God. I'm never going to go to church. I'm not good enough. You just keep living that lifestyle. But then if you read it with the conviction attitude of saying, the Lord is speaking to my heart right now. He's saying that he's checking me in a good way because he loves me, that I'm supposed to change these things. And I read that and I think about that for our inspiration and encouragement this morning is not to bring us into guilt, but to ask you in an encouraging way, is the Lord speaking to you? You know, are you preparing your house for God to come? Does your house look different now than when you first moved in? When you first became a Christian and you moved into this new house, hopefully you've gotten rid of some of that trash and some of that garbage that's there. And if not, what's the conviction moment that God's bringing you? Maybe out of just this list of things. And don't treat it as guilt, but rather treat it as conviction and encouragement, God's saying, I love you so much, I don't want to leave you where you're at. I'm not done with you yet. I'm ready for you to go to the next level. But what it means, you got to trim some more stuff out. You got to take out some more garbage. So that's my encouragement for you this morning. As you read the Bible, read it not as guilt, read it as conviction. And then of that list, what is speaking to you this morning? Is God kind of beginning to shave some of the rough edges off of you? And obviously this would not be a good place for you to write what you think God's trimming off of your life in the comments. But maybe after this inspirational video, this devotional video, you might jot something down to yourself. What's God trimming off of me to prepare me for the next season? So I love you guys. Have a great rest of the day and enjoy your weekend.